if that's the top 2% of the company, I am terrified for everybody else. Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Lynn, and we're going to talk today about everybody's favorite topic, multi-level marketing companies. And in my case, it's anti, very, very anti. So, if you came here thinking that I would be all kind about multi-levels because I've been in them before, you're wrong. I would, however, like for you to stay. I'd like for you to stay and listen because I am doing this specifically to protect people who have not been in them before, to protect them from getting involved, but also to speak to people who still are in them and maybe get you to look at what's going on in your multi-level, even if you don't think it's a multi-level, and think about whether you're actually making money for the time that you're putting into it. So let's go. As I said, if you don't know me, my name is Lynn. I have been in a number of multi-levels in my life, and in some of them I didn't realize or appreciate that they were multi-level marketing companies when I was in them. In some cases I was pretty young when I got in them, and in other cases I realized it pretty quickly and got out. And in some cases I thought I was going in as a preferred customer, and as it turned out I was getting signed up. The one that did the most to ruin my finances, though, was the one, the only, the original Mary Kay Cosmetics. Now, when I tell my stories from here, these are all from my point of view. These are all my personal story. And if you're here from Mary Kay, you may call them my I story. That's a thing in Mary Kay. An I story in Mary Kay is the story that people tell to recruit. In my case, it's the story that I am going to tell over several videos about how I got in, what got me in, and what kept me in, and what finally got me out. And I could talk for literally hours, and days even, about my time in Mary Kay. It was quite long, actually, and I was a director. I was not a very high director. I was just a first level director. I was not a national sales director or anything like that, but I was a director, and that is what they call the top 2% of the company, which I'm going to roll my eyes just a little bit here, because if that's the top 2% of the company, I am terrified for everybody else. So, so for each of these, what I think I'd like to do, and this is a really new channel for me, so I'm kind of doing this as I come along. As you can see, the last thing that I did, my camera was super shaky. I have a little bit of new equipment now to stop that, but I'm not sure about my layout right now. We'll figure this all out as I go along, but I did want to get into this. So for each of these, my plan is to talk a little bit about a bad business practice that Mary Kay, either on the part of the company or the part of the directorship or higher directorship, will go into. And then I want to also talk about why that's a bad business practice, and then also talk about something that I realized that helped me move toward leaving. And I do hope, as I said, that if you're watching this and you are still involved in the company, that it will help you see that they are not for you. They are not for anybody but themselves. So let's do it. All right. So when you join Mary Kay, and just as a caveat, I started in Mary Kay a really long time ago. I would say it was probably more than 20 years ago that I started. Some of these numbers might be different now than they were when I was in. So just take that, as you know, if I say something was 4,000 and it's 4,500 now, or 5,000, these numbers change over time. The general idea of everything is still the same. If I'm wrong about something, if I'm super wrong about something and like, oh, they don't do that anymore, please let me know. But I do really think these things were going on when I was there, and I'm pretty sure that with the exception of maybe a number here or there, the information is still generally true. So when I got into Mary Kay, I know that they still do this now. You sign up and it's $100. Sometimes they have a deal. Sometimes they have, today you can sign up for $50, or for the next 10 months you can sign up for $50, however much it is. But it's generally speaking $100 to get your kit. And your kit just comes with some supplies to show. It doesn't come with anything to sell. And that's part of their deal, right? You're going to be able to do classes, parties, but you're not going to be able to sell anything out of your kit. Now, this is how they get you to make your first purchase from the company outside of your starter kit. And they tell you as a new consultant that you need to have your first meeting with your director within 2 days. And they really want you to have it within hours of signing up. They want you to immediately go as a director to bring your new person. If you're a director, or even if you're just their recruiter, they want you to meet with the director almost immediately to talk about inventory. And their big thing that they're talking about is you can't sell from an empty cart, right? This old style thought of the old door-to-door salesman who would never think to go to sell stuff without having his inventory in his cart ready to hand right over. Now, this, in this day and age, is kind of a ridiculous statement. 20 years ago, less of a ridiculous statement, right? Because people, nowadays, they order from Amazon, they get their stuff the next day. It's, of course, people can expect their stuff to come the next day. And in fact, now people can order online from Mary Kay and have their stuff sent directly from the company. But they still want people to be able to give out that product immediately at their parties. And while other MLMs have really moved on to doing sales via the internet, Mary Kay still wants people to put it on the face, feel how it feels on the face, and immediately want to buy it. And that idea of, you tried it now, try it tonight, here's your product, is still very prevalent in the company. So they want people to be able to bring that home. And so they tell people, you can't sell from an empty cart, you're going to need to buy inventory. And so they will come up with, they have a book, and I believe it's still in print, it certainly was in my time, that had inventory packages. And they would start at the front of the book with, I think that the highest level was 3,600. It might have been higher. It might have been 4,200 of wholesale product. Now, it's 50%. So they would say this is $4,200 worth of product that you purchase, and it's worth $8,400. So you will earn $4,200 when you sell all of it. That's part of the big lie, because you never sell all of that product, right? You end up buying more before that a full amount is sold, right? And for even $4,200 is not a full store. That will get you all of your skincare, and it will get you a lot of colors and foundations, but it's not even buying you a full store. A full store is a lot more money than that. So they start off with that, and it has a picture of what $4,200 looks like of product, and it's beautiful, and you get all of these extras. They're like, and you're going to get all these extras also, and this is what you get if you spend $4,200 today. And you only have a certain amount of time, of course, right? Because time is everything, right? They want to make sure that you put in that order within your first month. So you only have a certain amount of time. If you buy this within your first month, you're going to get all these bonus items. So they start with $4,200. They go down by $600 until they get down to $600. So each time it looks like it's less product that you see in that package that you're going to get. And it's not the exact package. You can pick whatever you want, but it shows, generally speaking, what 4,200, 3,600, 3,000, 2,400, etc. going down, what it looks like. And so this is aspirational, right? As a Mary Kay consultant, you're new, you're excited, you just went to a Mary Kay meeting, let's say you got the rah, you want to do this, you want to be part of it, and you want to be able to sell your stuff to all of your friends and family and their friends and family and everything. You've gotten excited, and so they're showing you the highest amount all the way down to 600, which is like not a lot, and then they'll even show you the very lowest amount that you can buy and still get a discount as a consultant is 200, and we don't even talk about that. Now, what have we done? We've said, look, you can do this, and sure, you can buy that really small amount, that 600, but you're going to have to do another order really soon, because you're probably not going to have enough to sell to everybody who's going to want to buy from you. And you might not have the right stuff, because what if you have somebody who wants a raisinberry lipstick? I don't think raisinberry exists anymore, but what if you don't have the thing that they're going to want? Well, they might try to get it from somebody else. You wouldn't want that to happen, would you? What if you don't have what they want? Wouldn't you be afraid that they're going to go to somebody else and get it from somebody else? Now, we would talk. I'm still talking like I'm in it. It's been like more than 10 years since I left. We would talk about how Mary Kay sisters don't steal customers from each other, but we definitely gave that oh my gosh, what would happen? What would happen if this happened? It would be horrible, right? Just absolutely, we catch people all the time. And there were some national sales directors who were very, very adamant that people do even more than that 4,200. They wanted people to go another 600 higher than that. And the Mary Kay, it was called the Star Consultant program, that was connected to that inventory program at that 600 level, at those 600 levels, that once you did 1,800, you get a star pin, or after you did it the first time, you'd get a little jewel to put in your star pin, and that would also come with a prize that you could pick. The prizes were cheap. I actually have some, but I don't have any down here. Maybe I do. I don't think I do. I got rid of most of my prizes, but they were really cheap. And how do you know they were cheap? Because they would show up on your tax statements at the end of the year. Of course they did, because nothing's free, right? So you would win these things. They were cheap as anything, and they'd show up on your tax statement, and you'd find out, oh, well, yeah, of course it was worth $10, because they weren't really going to give me anything that big, but it was pretty. I gave away a lot of my stuff, so I don't think I know I have some stuff, but I don't have much anymore. I'll see if I can find some and put some pictures up on there. I'll try to put it there if I find any. Okay. So what does this mean? Why are they so adamant that you spend the money right away, right? Because it seems weird. Like, why is it so important that people spend so much money right up front? I'm glad you asked. As a Mary Kay director, in order to keep your directorship, you must have from your unit, and your unit is you, your recruits, and any of their recruits, going down, I believe, 3 levels. This is as a director. Your unit must maintain $4,000 of wholesale purchases. They call it production, but it's purchases from the company every month. It doesn't sound like a lot. Trust me, it's a lot, because they will tell you this: 1/3 of your unit is always on its way out. 1/3 is kind of working, and 1/3 is on its way in. If you don't have people constantly working, and if you're not constantly working to bring people in, you don't have a unit. So where's that money coming from? You've got people who are reordering. They're the people who are consistently working, but they're not necessarily reordering. That's $600 a month, right? You've got to assume that they might be ordering maybe $600 every 3 months, but not $600 a month, especially if you have recruited people with the idea that they're just doing this for a little bit of extra money on the side, right? Which a lot of Mary Kay recruitment is done like that. Or if they've been recruited, for instance, just to get their product for half price, and they can also sell to their friends and family, they're not buying $600 of wholesale product every month, right? They might not even be buying $200 of wholesale product every month. So where is that money coming from? It's coming from new people who can then do that $4,000 that you desperately need, right? Because if you don't have that, if you don't meet that $4,000 of unit production, you basically go on probation for 1 month. And if you miss it 2 months in a row, you lose your unit. And guess what? Nobody wants to lose their unit. You put a lot of time, so much time and so much money into getting that unit. You're not going to lose that unit. And what do people do? They're like, oh, okay, well, I missed it by 1,000. I'll just put 1,000 in and I'll sell it. How many times a year can you do that before you're out of money? Because you're not necessarily selling it. Half of your best customers have become your unit. And now they're buying stuff, or not, because they spent maybe $1,200, $1,800 on their first order, and they're not going to have to buy any for a really long time. So you're trying to bring people in and make that first order, whether you brought them in or one of your unit members brought them in, you're trying to get that person's first order to get that unit production in at the beginning of the month, or just sometime during that month, so that you can rest and know that you met your production. It gets worse though, because if you're a car driver, that number goes up. And if you're a Cadillac driver, that number goes way, way, way up. I'm going to look up the actual numbers, but I believe it's 16,000 a month of unit wholesale production if you have a pink Cadillac. And if you don't meet that, it's not that you give the Cadillac back, it's that you pay $900 as a copay to the company for that Cadillac. Whoa, 16,000 a month in your unit. What if you get sick and you're not working so much? Everybody asked me why I didn't have a Cadillac. I'm like, I didn't want a Cadillac. It was hard enough keeping up 4,000. It is a never-ending grind. It's a never-ending grind. And I know if you're an Mary Kay director out there and you're watching this, you know it's a never-ending grind. It's terrible business advice. Who would ever tell somebody to spend that much money when they don't have clients yet? They've got nothing. This is a land now of on-demand. We're an on-demand world now, and they're telling you should have, oh my gosh, so much product on your shelves. Now, when I was a consultant, I started off with a $1,200 a month inventory. I was single. And that is what I had in my bank account to start my business. And I was going to be responsible and not spend money that I didn't have. I soon started hearing really terrible business advice really terrible business advice from Mary Kay people about what they called OPM, other people's money, which basically meant using credit cards. And at the time, I was not a credit card person. I should not have been using credit cards. But I had a credit card. And I was pretty, upset about the fact that I didn't feel, looking at my director's home and how much product she had, looking at other directors' homes and how much product they had, I said, wow, maybe they're right. Maybe I don't have enough product to be successful. What I didn't realize was they had all this product because they had never sold it. They had stuff that had been off the shelves for years, and it was just sitting in their house, not being sold. But I took that credit card and I spent another $600. I was really young. I should not have done that, but I did it, and it was a terrible mistake. Now imagine all these women coming into this company and they hear use other people's money. There are directors out there who were taking people to the bank to get a loan, who were helping people get Mary Kay credit cards so they can put it on a credit card. It is insidious. Yes, Mary Kay has a credit card. You can get the Mary Kay credit card so you can buy more Mary Kay inventory. Did you know that? It is insidious. These people will do anything to get you to spend more money because they need to keep their units. Now, they also get a check from the company. Of course they do. By the way, if you were to call Mary Kay and ask them if I ever made any money at Mary Kay, they will tell you that according to their records, I made money. That is because of two things. One, they count the checks that they sent me, which I did get, commission checks. And they count whatever you purchased as you having sold it. So they assume that anything that you purchased was a sale. They have to. Otherwise, they'd be in so much trouble, because there are so many consultants with thousands upon thousands of dollars of inventory just sitting on their shelves. I got rid of almost all of my inventory. I sent back as much as I could. I had a big sale for anybody who wanted to buy whatever I had left. And I literally still, places in my house have a couple of things that, I don't know, maybe they're probably bad at this point, but they just, every so often I'll be like, oh, where did this come from? And it's a body wash or something. I don't know. There was so much stuff on my shelves. It was ridiculous. It was crazy. So once you become a director, you start seeing a little bit more into this. And this was part of what made me start seeing that it was bad, that it was really, really awful. And part of this is that you get different training. As a director, they start training you on how to get people to bring in more money for you, which I guess is important, but it's also feels very bad. I mean, it's like the only way for me to make money is on the backs of other women. And when I had started, I was in a unit that I actually thought they were really good. They taught us how to sell the products, and I really felt like I was doing well. I was teaching people how to use product. I was having parties. I was selling. I was having really great parties. But not everybody is a salesperson. And one of the things they teach you to say is they give you, when people say, oh, I'm not really a salesperson, they're like, oh, you don't have to be a really good salesperson in this company. The product sells itself. The product does not sell itself. You actually do have to learn how to sell it. And some people are just not very good at sales. And you also have to sell the company. And it's much harder to sell the company. And they give you a lot of ways to sell the company. I will talk about in future videos. But, okay. As a director, what you end up seeing, you see people buying a lot of products. And you also see what their sales are, because you ask them to send me information, send me about your sales, send me your weekly sales, send me your daily sales, let me know when you've had a great day. So you see people buying and not selling. And so some people out there are just consistently buying in order to get the prizes, and they're not selling the product. You know that those people have a room full of inventory in their homes. What are you going to do about that? Are you going to let them continue to do that? I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I could not be the person who told somebody to buy $3,600 worth of product that they weren't going to sell. I really tried, but I did it once, and then I went home and I felt horrible because this woman didn't have $3,600. She had a credit card now. How much was she going to pay in interest on that $3,600? That was ridiculous. Another thing that I saw was I had gone to Mary Kay's seminar, and there was a woman who had been the queen of sales. She was the queen of the court of personal sales, which meant she supposedly sold the most of anybody in the company. What it means is that she bought the most of anybody in the company, and I do not know how much that was. That's amazing. It was amazing. Now, at seminar, they seat you according to how well your unit did. So somebody who was queen of personal sales or queen of recruiting, their unit's going to sit down really close to the stage. And somebody who is a director who doesn't have a great unit, maybe they just do the minimum amounts to stay a unit, they're going to be up in the balcony, really far away from the stage. Okay. So that first year that I had gone to seminar, well, that wasn't the first year I went to seminar, but that year that I went to seminar, this one woman was the queen of personal sales, and it was, I mean, she was beautiful. I remember her very well. You don't really forget the woman who's sitting in the big chair with the crown, with the whole prizes and everything. The following year, I was at seminar, and I was sitting up in the balcony, like I do, and she was sitting directly in front of me. Now, how does somebody go from being the queen of personal sales to sitting up in the balcony with me the following year? I don't know what happened in her life, but in Mary Kay, you can go from being the queen of personal sales to sitting up in the balcony in 1 year. And what that said to me is that this is a hamster wheel. You literally will never get off. You have to work and work and work and work, and you literally never get off the wheel. And that is not necessarily a bad thing if you're running your own business. Okay? I run my own business. I own my own business. And I know that if I don't work really hard, I don't have business come in. Right? But nobody recruited me in my business saying that I could work this business part-time for full-time pay. Nobody said to me when I started my own business that I could just work it a little bit on the weekends when I'm at my kid's soccer game. But really, what they meant was you are going to have to be working this every day of your life, including on the weekends at your kid's soccer game. It's a different mentality than what they tell you about. And you see this all the time. They bring you in saying one thing, and then they yell at you that you're not doing it the right way later. It is a hamster wheel. I have a personal business. I own my business, and I work the hours that I want to work. And if I work 40 hours a week, I make a lot of money that month. And if I work 20 hours a week, I make half the money that month. And if I work 10 hours a week, I make a quarter of the money that month, but it's predictable. In Mary Kay, you see people working round the clock all the time, full face of makeup, wherever they go, constantly trying to give out samples, constantly trying to book parties, trying to book facials, trying to book whatever they call them now, skincare classes. And them telling you, if you're not doing that, you're not doing enough. Okay. What else? Oh, I saw people losing their units. I saw other directors losing their units. And I would go up to them and say, hey, what's going on? I thought you were a director. And they'd say, not anymore. I don't want to talk about it. Or not anymore. I can't talk about it. And that really made me start wondering what was going on. And then, this is crazy, but every 3 months, it seemed, they would come out with a new product and they would get rid of something older. So they would, for instance, either get rid of or change the packaging on something. So they wouldn't necessarily completely get rid of something, but they'd change the packaging on something. So what this meant was that no matter what you had on your shelves, if you now tried to sell it, it would look old. So if you had Time Wise on your shelf, and now they were changing the Time Wise packaging, your clients would then, let's say, go onto the web and see that the Time Wise packaging looked different, and they wanted to know why your packaging didn't look the same as the stuff online, and they wanted to know if yours was old. Or they would change the colors of the cosmetics, and then the colors that you had wouldn't be advertised anymore. So you'd either have to hope that somebody ran out of a color that they liked and would call you. You could call your people and say, hey, I still have this color if you need it. But honestly, how long does it take to pan an eyeshadow, right? And then they would send these notices to the directors saying, don't tell your unit that these things are changing. Why? They wanted people to continue buying the old product up until the change happened, so that they would actually get stuck with the old product They wanted to make sure that they could sell as much of the old product as possible. And in fact, they would, if something was being completely discontinued, they would do the opposite. They would say, let your people know that XYZ is being discontinued, and they should reach out to their customers to make sure that they get enough to cover their customers' needs. So there would be this panic buy over stuff that was being discontinued completely, and then there would these people, consultants, would just have boxes and boxes of stuff that they could never sell on their shelves, in their drawers, whatever. I just remember going to one fall advance. They never called it a retreat, because we don't retreat, we only advance. But we went to this fall advance, and they were not only changing the colors of the eyeshadows, but they were going to completely change the packaging. They were going from the old style. They used to be like, what's the word? Like bullet shaped, and they were changing it to be square. They were not going to fit in the old packages. And this woman did a class on how to teach how to do an eyeshadow look using 7 eyeshadow colors, so that you could sell 7 eyeshadow colors and a palette together, in a palette, to get rid of your eyeshadow colors, because everybody was going to be stuck with so many eyeshadows. 7 colors together. It looked really awful. It looked so bad. And there I went. I went around wearing a 7 eyeshadow color look. I didn't look so bad since 7th grade, when I didn't know how to put on makeup and just walked around looking like a clown all the time. It was so awful, you guys. So, I'm absolutely sure they're still doing this kind of stuff. Absolutely sure. Because there's literally, this is part of their business plan. They have to keep selling to the consultants. They say that this is not an MLM. They say it's dual marketing, because there's 2 sales. There's a sale from the company to the consultant, and the consultant to the customer. But it's mostly BS, because mostly it is just a sale from the company to the consultant, and then it sits there on their shelves for years and years and years. I sincerely hope that I'm wrong, and that things will change or have changed there. I'm sure it hasn't. I'm sure it hasn't. I do hope that some of it's changed, but I don't think it has. And I do also hope that some people have listened to this, and this was just a tiny little piece of the pie. This is a tiny little piece of the pie about inventory and what I've spoken for 38 minutes. So here we are. And by the way, I don't use a single drop of Mary Kay anything anymore at all. I refuse. I was scared. I was worried that I wouldn't, I had used it for so long. What the heck was I going to use? And my friend brought me into Sephora, and they did a whole makeover on me, and I felt so good. And it was like I had no idea that I could look good again, because I just looked like I was just trying to sell makeup for so long. It was really awful. If you have any questions, please leave questions in the comments. I would love to answer them. I do follow my comments because I don't get many. Please like, follow, share. Please share with people you know in MLMs, because I'm sure, a lot of people in MLMs will say, well, mine is different because you don't need inventory, because they don't ask you to buy inventory. And I've been in other MLMs, as I said, and even though they say that it's not going to be that way, it kind of is. And I will at some point talk about isogenics. I was in isogenics. Yeah, there's a lot of crossover between Mary Kay and isogenics, actually. So I was in isogenics, and I was, for a while, I was in USANA vitamins. They were vitamins and shakes. That was awful. Just the worst shakes ever. And I accidentally got myself into oils at one point. That didn't last long at all. I think I made one order. And then I learned my lesson. I think in the middle of my order, my husband sent me a text message saying, "Do not buy oils." But there have been a few out there, and it's pretty interesting how different companies will try to convince you that they are not what you know they are. Anyway, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. 2 people added me. So thank you for the subscribes to Charlotte and to Micah. I appreciate it. And please like, please subscribe. Let's try to get it up to, can we get it up to 20 this week? If you want to hear more about MLMs, let me know. If you want to hear more about the other stuff I write about, obviously I'm a writer. If you want to hear more about the other stuff that I'm interested in, I also talk about schools, parenting, and I read a lot. I have my undergraduate degree is in literary and cultural theory, so I've been thinking about talking about ray gun from a cultural studies perspective, which I think is kind of funny because everybody really dislikes her from a b-boy, b-girl perspective, but from a cultural studies perspective, we don't like her either. Have a great week, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye. Okay, I found some prizes. This pillow was part of a betting set that I won. The pillow is the only thing that's left because the rest of it fell apart. It's mostly falling apart now too. It's losing strings. And then see if I can. Okay. These are earrings. See if those are earrings. I think the earrings might have been my first prize that I won from the company. And then this, see if it fits. I have psoriatic arthritis, so sometimes things don't